Greetings. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up tunnel example L04. Using the business tunnel as configured in L04 will allow you to securely send and receive email from practically anywhere. Let's say that I'm traveling and want to use my laptop to check or send email. The email program I'm using is Microsoft Outlook. I have quite a bit of confidential company information sent to me as well as the email that I send. It is critical that when using Wi-Fi at a hotel, airport, or customer site that the email is secure, both the contents and the authentication credentials. In this example, I will show you how to configure the Georgia Softworks Business Tunnel so you can send and receive emails securely from non-trusted locations. I will use the business tunnel to create a tunnel to an SSH server which is in a secure location. This can be at your workplace, at home, or anywhere you have access to a good SSH server. The one I have is at home. Once the tunnel is created, I will create two channels, one to send email and the other to receive email. So let's get down to business. First, we create an SSH tunnel to my SSH server at home. You'll need to know the IP address of my SSH server. If you don't know your IP address, then you can just Google my IP from your home computer and your public IP address will be displayed. So let's configure the tunnel. When we open up the business tunnel, we see the configuration summary page. Expand the configuration if it is not already expanded. You will see tunnels and local port usage. Click on tunnels. In the tunnel list section, click New. The first configuration section, SSH host info, specifies how to get to the SSH server. We need to give the tunnel a name, something recognizable. Since I'm creating a tunnel to my home computer and my home computer is named Thomas, I will name it Secure Tunnel to Thomas. For host, we put the IP address of the SSH server. If you have a router that forwards to the SSH server host, you would use the router IP address. The tunnel uses port 22, which is the default value. In the authentication section, we fill out the credentials to access the SSH server. On my SSH server, I use username password authentication, so I put that information here. The more detailed section of the tunnel setup lets you select the compression level, protocol, etc. The defaults are usually good, so I will leave them alone. Make sure you have the Enable this tunnel box checked. Click OK and your tunnel is now configured. Now we will configure the first channel for the tunnel we just created. This channel will be for receiving email. Select the tunnel for which you want to create a channel. Then under the channels list location, click New. For the name, again, we want to pick something that is recognizable. We're using this channel to check emails using the post office protocol, so we'll name it POP. We will select local forwarding type. The local address is set to the loopback address of my laptop. The local port number is an arbitrary available port on my laptop. Since the default POP3 port is 110, I like to keep my arbitrary ports recognizable, so I'll add 10,000 to the 110, giving me 10,110. For the remote address, I can use the POP address of my mail server. In my case, it's mail.georgiasoftworks.com. Often, for receiving email, you will see the subdomain as either mail or POP. We could even use the IP address. For the remote port, I use the POP3 port, which is port 110. Make sure the channel is enabled and then click OK. Next, we will configure the second channel for the tunnel. This channel will be for sending email. Select the tunnel for which you want to create a channel. Then, under the channels list section, click New. For the name, again, we want to pick something that is recognizable. We're using this channel to send emails using the Simple Message Transfer Protocol, SMTP. So we will name it SMTP. Again, we will select the local forwarding type. The local address is set to the loopback address of my laptop. Again, the local port number is an arbitrary available port on my laptop. Since the default SMTP port is port 25, and I like to keep my arbitrary ports recognizable, I'll add 10,000 to 25, giving me 10,025. For the remote address, I use the SMTP address for my mail server. In my case, it is again mail.georgiasoftworks.com, but just to change things up, I'll use its IP address this time. Either's fine. Often for sending email, you will access the service using a subdomain that is either mail or SMTP. For the remote port, I'll use the actual SMTP port, port 25. Make sure the channel is enabled and then click OK. Now you'll notice the Activate button is clickable. We need to activate the configuration changes. Then we can click on Activity and then Channels to observe the tunnel and channel we just configured. Everything will say 0 at this point because we haven't sent any email yet. The last thing we need to do is configure the email program to use the tunnel and channel information we just set up. I'm using Outlook 2010. If you use another email program, the configuration may look different, but the same configuration items will exist, so just apply where relevant. Open Outlook, select the File tab, and then select Info to see the account settings. Click Account Settings. The Account Settings window opens. Select the Email tab. Here it is on the far left. This shows the email accounts that you have set up for Outlook. Click on the account for which you want to use the business tunnel, then select the Change Menu item above. The Internet email settings are displayed. On this page, you only need to change the addresses for the incoming mail server and the outgoing mail server. The incoming mail server needs to have the local address used in the POP channel configuration, which is the loopback address. The outgoing mail server needs to have the local address used in the SMTP channel configuration, which also is the loopback address. Now we need to click on the More settings and then on the Advanced tab. On this page, we need to change the port numbers for the incoming POP3 and the outgoing SMTP. The incoming server needs to use the local port configured in the POP channel configuration, which is 10110. The outgoing server needs to use the local port number used in the SMTP channel configuration, which is 10025. Click OK to close the Advanced Internet Email settings. At this time, you can click the Test Account settings to verify everything is working. You should get the Test Account dialog with a completed status on both logging into the email server and sending a test email. Click Close, then click Next in the email settings and finish. Now Outlook is using the tunnel that we just configured. We can be sure of this by going back to monitor the channel activity and seeing that the bytes downloaded and uploaded are incrementing. Now you can securely email from wherever you have internet access using the Georgia Softworks Business Tunnel. As long as the tunnel is enabled, anytime I open Outlook and use my email account, it will use the tunnel and I will have a secure connection. If the network connection drops and reconnects, the tunnel will automatically be reestablished. If I restart the laptop, the tunnel will automatically start and all email using Outlook will be secure. I can truly set it and forget it.